Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. And today's podcast is a special one. Not only is it the first one here in the new headquarters HQ, and by the way, if you're looking on this at YouTube or you're live, you're seeing the first ever podcast in the new HQ. But more importantly than that, I got my man Big Gerald McCoy in the house today. And this is Gerald's 12th year in the NFL. Yes, I said the 12th year in the NFL, and he's been on the show, I don't know, a couple times before. He's always one of the crowd favorites. He's got a little mischievous smile going on right now. And as we get into this today, there's a lot of things I want to talk about. But first off, Gerald, you just got done with the workout. You're still sweating. How you feeling?
I feel great. I feel like I got better, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, you just flew back yesterday, Easter Sunday, to come back. You're spending the entire month of April here at FQ10. What keeps you coming back? What is this? You're like 11th year here at FQ10?
Yeah, it is. This is my 11th year coming back, and there's this crazy man that I train with every year I come out here. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just attracted to crazy. I don't know what it is.
Isn't it true, though, your wife actually kicked you out of the house?
Yeah, so funny story.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. So I was in Texas and training in Frisco at Exos, and I had been doing my training and my rehab for, I was 7.5 months in, and I'm at home. My wife is sitting here, and she's like, I love you, you're doing great, but you got to get out of here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She was like, you got to go to San Diego. And I'm like, I'm going to go at some point. She was like, no, you got to go. It's time. You got to get to San Diego. You need Todd Durkin. And I'm like, okay. She was like, no, this is not a request. I'm kicking you out. You're going. So here I am. It's time.
Now, folks, when you talk about she kicked Gerald out of the house, Gerald has 5 kids. 5 kids. So could you imagine the wife saying, Gerald, get out of here. Go train in San Diego. I'll take care of the kiddos.
She's a strong woman, man.
You ain't kidding.
And I was like, here's what I said. I said, hey, listen, the reason I haven't went yet is because I didn't want to be selfish. We just moved to Texas. We're trying to get established. We just moved into our new house. I didn't want you to have to get established in a whole new state by yourself. And I actually got fussed at for that. She was like, you made a decision for me. You don't get to make decisions for me. Wow. I know what I signed up for when I married an NFL player. And you can't be great or do what it is you do at a high level and be a 100% father. It's one or the other. And since your career doesn't last that long, I'm willing to make that sacrifice for these few years. And then after that, I expect 100% father/husband.
Talk about that, because last year with the Cowboys, you tore your quad tendon. What's keeping you going now? What is it? I mean, you don't have to play.
No.
You could say, I'm done. What is keeping you driving to play another year?
Well, that itch and that love for the game is not gone. That passion is still there. And I know how great a shape I was in coming into last year. My first few practices were really good with the Cowboys, and I just knew something special was going to happen. And I don't believe my time is up. And I just got so much left. And I think it's bigger than that. I think I have more left to give outside of football while I'm in the NFL. So I'll be able to know. I'll know when it's time. And it's just not time to be done yet. Yeah.
And now you're training like a madman.
I am. Like 5 days a week, double sessions. I'm either going to do workouts and Pilates and PT or the field, something every day. Twice.
Well, you talk about mindset, mind right maniac. That Gerald McCoy epitomizes that. What I do want to talk about, Gerald, is the last 5 years with the Buccaneers and the Panthers and then the Cowboys and now free agent waiting to get picked up. Overcoming injuries. Talk about your injuries and how do you keep your mind right when you're battling serious injuries? Talk about a few of those injuries and how you keep your mind right.
Well, it's about your focus. And it can get tough. But my faith is a big part of me. It is me. It is who I am and what I'm about. And I just believe that God didn't create people to not be successful. And he created us to succeed. But God never said it's going to be easy. and that everything's going to be perfect. You're going to have struggles. You're going to have tough times. And, you know, pretty much everybody has heard this. Bible says God will never put more on you than you can bear. I don't believe that. What I believe is God will never put more on you than you can bear alone. Mm-hmm. And I always believe that through all my struggles and anything I go through, God is with me. I always lean on God and make sure I'm praying and give everything I have back to God and make sure that I don't go through it by myself. Because with all the trials and tribulations that come with this life, it is extremely difficult to go through it by yourself. And I make sure that I don't do that.
What are some of those injuries that you've had that you've struggled through the last few years?
Well, apparently my quad, so what happened was when I did my MRI and my physical for the Cowboys, and the doctor there said, did I know that my quad was halfway torn? I'm like, no, I didn't know. I just thought it was tendonitis. Last year when I was in Carolina, I had PRP shot. They managed me and they told me it was tendonitis. He was like, nah, your quad is halfway gone. Your quad tendon's halfway gone. I'm like, well, I just played 16 games. I mean, he was like, well, you know, how it's looking, it could go at any time.
Yep.
And that was the chance I was willing to take. And apparently I've been dealing with that for the longest because my knee has been in horrible pain for the last 5 years. I just play through it. It's just what we do as football players. I've pulled my calf multiple times, and early on in my career I tore one bicep tendon, and then the next year I tore this bicep tendon. In 2017 I tore this bicep tendon at the top. 2018 I tore this bicep tendon at the top. These are still missing, by the way. You know, so it's just part of the game, though. You know?
Well, when you're a defensive lineman and you're battling every single play, it is part of the game. Yeah. And how do you get through it? What's the hardest part about injury?
The hardest part about injury, the recovery, and I think it's
physically or mentally.
Mentally, because when you make it to the highest level of what we do, you're considered a world-class athlete, and you're considered one of the best athletes in the world. Even if you have your Tyreek Hills on the field, who is insanely athletic, if you're in the NFL, you're still considered one of the best athletes in the world. And when you have an injury, that natural athleticism that you're used to using and having is gone. You can't use it. So it's almost a pride thing as an athlete. You struggle to deal with the fact that the things I've always been able to do just naturally that maybe your average human can't do, now I can't do it.
Gerald,
so you have a hard time.
Gerald, I'm over here laughing as a 50-year-old man. I feel the same way. It doesn't matter, right, folks? How old you are, you could be a high school athlete and you battle if you get injured. The hardest part, I think, is mental. Like, even now, overcoming a knee surgery myself, it's like you try to get back to feeling and playing your best that you could possibly be. And it doesn't matter what it is. Now, you as an NFL athlete for 12 years, you'll be like this for the rest of your life because that's how you're wired.
Yeah,
and that mental part.
Yeah, that doesn't change, man. And I'm just – most athletes, especially professional athletes, you get to that level because of your natural-born not your natural-born athleticism, natural-born competitiveness. And you just a natural-born competitor, and you always going to compete over anything. If you ever been in the NFL locker room, I'm sure it's like this in the NBA locker room. We compete over everything. Yep. Shooting paper in the trash can, whether it's grabbing this chair, whether it's talking about sports, whether we just compete in everything. So that's just life for us. But we just so happen to play a sport and be able to do it and get paid for it.
Well, the one thing that you do that you may take for granted, and I would tell anybody, is when you're going through injury, whether it be acute or chronic, that you must attack that injury like you are a pro athlete. So if you're not a pro athlete, that means you have to literally eat, breathe, and sleep the rehab component. So you put yourself in a situation where you don't end up with arthritis or, so much scar tissue that your range of motion is impeded, which leads to other injuries and impediments and things like that. So I think it's important, regardless, we talk about one's physical health, that we do everything we can from the recovery standpoint, from the rehabilitation standpoint, from the rehab standpoint, so that we can physically feel our best, because we know that if we're physically not feeling good, it affects our mindset. And whether it's Gerald McCoy or any other athlete that I work with that has been injured, the hardest part is being on the sideline and not being part of the team, and the rigors of having to rehab for 4 hours a day on that. So I'm always curious on that. How do you think it's going to take, Gerald? What's it going to take for you to get back to the point where you get signed this year?
I just gotta be consistent with everything I'm doing. I'm not 100% healthy, but I am healthy. Like, my tendon is fully healed, is strong. Now it's about getting my strength back, my football strength. I'm getting my regular everyday strength back, but football strength is a completely different strength.
Right.
So I'm working on getting it back, but I just got to be consistent. Like you said, I got to attack it. And what I've done is attacked my rehab the same way I would attack any off-season program I have. And now I'm actually back in my off-season program along with my physical therapy. So my off-season program is strenuous regardless. It's already very difficult to go through, but it's even more difficult with lacking some of the strength in my quad. So, but I'm up for the challenge.
Would you say that your off-season training program is similar to that of a fighter? Right now, Mike Chandler's getting ready for UFC, 262. He's in camp, and he's mentally.
Mike is the man.
Mike's the man, right? You know Mike and train with him, and that. Do you go into that same mental zone right now of like, okay, I'm doing everything I can to put myself in a situation to be successful, to make it onto a team?
You have to. You have to, man. You got to go into a zone that you're not used to going into, and you have to make yourself get used to going in that zone. You know, I don't know if this is, the zone they go into for a fight, but preparation for a fight, absolutely, because that's what you in every down, especially as a defensive lineman, an offensive lineman, just the football game in general. It's a fight every play, and it's very short-lived, but it is a fight. Somebody asked me the other day, I think it was Dominic Cruz. He said, how long do you think you actually play in a game? An hour, 2 hours? I said, actually, if you really calculate the time of how long we're actually playing, we're probably playing 15 minutes because every play is 3 seconds. And if you add those plays up, it probably, calculates about 15 minutes. And if you've ever done like some HIIT training, you've done 15 minutes of it, you know how strenuous it is. Now imagine every play, you already 300 pounds. Now you're getting hit by 2 other 300-pounders, and you got to run upfield, and you got to do this that fast.
Yep.
It's extremely difficult. So
it's funny you mentioned Dominic Cruz, because just today in our training session, one of the guys with us was Tyrell Williams. And Tyrell, at the end of the workout, he was looking pretty spent. I'm like, you okay? He's like, I'm just trying to go to that dark space. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I was talking to Dominic Cruz on Friday, and Dominic said, in the 5th round of a fight, you got to go to a place that not too many people can go to.
Right.
And I'm trying to go to that place because just like a UFC fighter going to a dark place, training, you have to go to a place where you learn to push yourself more than you possibly could to really get everything out of yourself physically. So Tyrell was push himself to that point today, just like yourself.
You got to have 2 personalities.
That's right.
And here's what I'll say before I say this. The diagnosis of CTE is extremely serious. But I don't believe all football players have CTE just because they play football. But I do believe that there's a screw loose for all football players. I do believe that. Because to do what we do, I just told you, I had basically 4 bicep tendon tears. 4. I pulled my quad multiple times. Apparently my tendon was halfway torn for 3-4 years, and I'm still playing. It has to be something missing.
Gotta be.
To be doing that, you got to train just to get to that point. Then there's training camp, there's preseason, then those games, and then they just added another game. And you're doing this at 300 plus pounds, and you're going technically for, the game's 3.5, 4 hours, and you're doing this week after week after week. And all fans see us do is show up on Sunday. They're not seeing what's going into a week just to prepare to get ready for Sunday. I've been where I've had teammates, they don't even practice during the week because their bodies can't handle it.
That's right.
But then they play on Sunday.
Yep.
And the fans, they just see like, we need him to perform. I love this team. I need him to perform. But you're not even seeing this man can barely walk during the week. Seriously. So I think it's all of us got something missing up there.
I would have to agree in some way,
Right.
shape or form, or not. With all of those injuries, would you say that's the hardest thing that you've ever had to endure in your life? Is that the biggest struggle? Tearing a bicep, a quad tendon? What's the most challenging thing you've ever had to go through in your life?
Actually, back to back. I had a child when I was in high school, 17. And then 2 years later, my mother passed away when I was 19. And those two are, I would say, the most difficult because of the adjustments you have to make. I was a kid having a kid. Then my mother was my best friend. My first everything, my first phone, my first bank account, all the stuff you get that you're supposed to get, you know, when you're a kid and you're like, yeah, I'm finally getting a. My mom was a part of it. And she was my best friend. So when I lost her, I lost my I guess you would say scapegoat or my safe place. You know, I always leaned on God, but I had somebody I could talk to. When she was gone, I lost that. So so my senior year of high school, I was ranked extremely high in high school, highly touted going into University of Oklahoma, and everybody expected me to come in and play right away, but I wasn't ready. So I redshirted. So I'm already dealing with that. As a kid, that's more of a pride thing. Then spring happens how the spring happens, and the spring was extremely difficult for me because of the expectations that I had for myself. So I get through all of that, and the funny story is the first or second day of spring practice, my freshman year, I called my mom and I said, hey, I can't do this no more. I'm done. I don't want to play. And her response was, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I said, wait, what? She said, go back to practice. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm like, did you hear what I said? She said, go back to practice. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And she hung up the phone. She didn't bye, baby, I love you, nothing. She hung up the phone because that was her way of saying you need to grow up.
Yeah.
You stop being a punk and grow up. And that's just how she was with me. And I didn't have to call her back or text her like, why would you? I knew exactly what that meant. And that's just the type of relationship we had. So her being gone was extremely difficult for me to manage and learn how to deal with. So in my life, I would say that's probably the hardest thing I ever deal with. She had a brain aneurysm. And she was on the road to recovery, but her heart gave out 3 weeks in. So, yeah.
What do you think she would say to you now if she was alive?
I told you so. That's what she would say. Because she was the first person to say, you're going to be a 5-star recruit. She said all this before it happened. You're going to be a 5-star recruit. You're going to be All-American in college. You're going to get drafted NFL. You're going to do this. She said all this when I was a sophomore in high school. She told me this. She said this, but my dad said colleges don't want fat kids. So if you want to go to college, you got to get in shape. That was the difference of what I was getting. But once she seen I committed, I committed to something. She seen the look in my eyes. She seen how I separated myself from my friends. And sometimes you're going to lose friends to get to where you want to be.
That's right.
You know it's okay to outgrow your friends.
Talk about that.
Sometimes you're going to outgrow your friends.
Talk about it.
A lot of people believe they'll give you a hard time saying, oh, well, you changed. You're not the same person. Yeah, I'm not. You are. And that's the problem. I'm maturing. I'm getting better. I'm trying to improve. I'm going somewhere else. I don't want to remain stagnant.
Right.
And once she seen that look in my eyes when I was in high school, she knew. She said, nah, he got something special because she seen how I was at the highest level of every level of football I was at. You know, I came into my freshman year of high school, I was starting on varsity, and she seen it. But when she seen I made that switch, she seen that switch flip, like, okay, he's locked in. He knows he wants to do something different. That's when she made that declaration. So her today, seeing what I've done so far in my career, she would, one, say, I told you so, but then she would tell you, it's not over.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you were speaking now to a boy or girl in high school or a young athlete that this pandemic has kicked their butt, maybe they want to play in college or get to another level and they've really been struggling, what would you tell them in the last year has been a long one for a lot of people, but a lot of student athletes as well? What would you tell that boy or girl?
I would tell them what I told you earlier today. So
Speak it. Preach it. I like this.
Here's what I said. I said people need to stop trying to win. People need to stop trying to win the race. Okay? Stop racing to win.
Mm-hmm.
There's 500 million, 400. Sorry, kids. If there's kids listening. There's 500 million, 500,000, 500. I don't know. Sperm. Seriously, the sperm, when you are transferred from your father to your mother, all these sperm shot out, and they're racing to get to where they got to get. Well, we're here, so that means you already won the race. Mm-hmm. You're not here to win a race. You're here because you already won the race. And God didn't create any of us to fail. Mm. If you think about a car manufacturer, a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, a Cadillac, a Honda, whatever it is, an iPhone, iPad, don't matter. Do they sell these things without testing them? They don't sell this stuff without testing it, right? They have all these functions, and they know that it works. They know that when they send it out for you to buy it, it has all of these functions. These functions are already a part of it because it's already been tested. So the ultimate and major manufacturer of life, you don't think that God would send us out without already testing us? We're already been tested.
Yep.
So God knows what we can do and what he sent us out to do. So once you get that mindset that I'm not here to fail, nothing's going to faze you. You take your life to the next level. So any kid I'm talking to, I would tell them this. Avoid dream killers. A dream killer is anything that comes to hinder or stop what your dream is. So if you want to be an attorney or a doctor, you know, and a lot of people, parents are not going to like this, but parents, we are some of the biggest dream killers because our kids say, hey, I want to do this. And we're like, you shouldn't do that. You need to go get a job and start working here. You need to do this. You need to go to school and make sure you go to college. And if that's true, then why some of the most successful people in the world didn't even finish college?
Ooh.
It's about your dreams, and you got to avoid dream killers. And then I would say this. I always tell kids this. Put yourself in the hallway. If you ever look,
I love this.
Put yourself in a hotel hallway. There's doors on the right, doors on the left, right? So if you're walking at the end of hallways, whether it is on the first floor, usually on the first floor, if you look at the end, there's a window.
Yep.
And there's light shining through, all right? That's your goal. That's your destination. On the right, there's doors. On the left, there's doors. When you're walking, if this door on the right opens, are you supposed to go there? You're not supposed to go in there. If the door on the left opens, you're not supposed to go there because your destination's on the end. Don't worry about what's on the right. Don't worry about what's on the left. You keep your eyes forward and get to that light at the end. And when kids start to understand, I wasn't put here to fail. I was put here to be successful.
Yep.
Then that's when things start to change.
And you're making choices, like we talked about earlier on, about success, because you asked me about some of the guys you train with.
So the thing I said about success is I said success is predictable, but
Correct.
So is failure.
That's right.
Success is based off life decisions. Failure is based off life decisions. What we are today, we decided to be because of the decisions we made.
Amen.
So if you want to be successful, you got to make certain decisions. Like I asked you earlier, I said, when you seen Drew Brees in his career, all these records he said, are you surprised by that? You're not, because you seen how he grinded every year,
That's right.
year in and year out. So when he went and won all these awards and set this record and set that record, you was happy for him, but you wasn't sitting back like, wow, I can't believe he did that.
Right.
You knew it was coming. You just knew it was coming.
No doubt about it. Now, I love our conversations before our workouts because we're always having these stories. And the other day, we were talking about the lion, the elephant.
Yeah.
Let's just share that because that's some good
talk
wisdom.
about the lion?
I want to talk about the lion. Why? You ask me the question, or ask all of our listeners today the question about the lion, the elephant,
Okay.
and why is the lion the king of the jungle?
Okay. So if an elephant is 80 times bigger than a lion, right?
Pay attention, folks. This
Listen.
is good. This is good
If
stuff.
an elephant is 80 times bigger than a lion,
That's right.
And the giraffe is 100 times 50 times taller.
That's right.
and a hippo is 50 times heavier, and a monkey is much more intelligent, why are they all terrified of the lion? Think about this. The elephant is much bigger.
Yep.
The giraffe is much taller. The hippo is much stronger, and the monkey is much more intelligent. Why is the lion the king of the jungle? Attitude.
That's what I said, right?
It's all about belief.
Belief.
It's all about belief in who you are and knowing who you are.
Hakuna Matata.
The lion walks through the jungle and knows, when I see that elephant, I'm eating that. Because I know he can't do nothing with me. But the elephant is not thinking, I'm way bigger than this lion. All I do is pick my foot up and get to stomping. They see the lion and the lion come through. It don't have no smiles. It's not nervous. It's walking through an attitude.
So how do you develop that? So let's say you're right. The lion's got the belief. He's got the attitude. How would you say you really create a belief and a confidence and a swagger that's legitimately like, I'm the best on the field, or I'm the best at what I do? Not being arrogant or cocky, but knowing that you're the king of the jungle. How do you develop that?
One, you gotta know who you are. You gotta know where you're from. You gotta know what you can do. You have to know where you're going, and you have to know why you're here. Those 5 things. Know who you are. Just 5 questions to figure out success. You know who you are. Know where you're from, what you can do, why you're here, and where you're going. You figure those things out with repetition, then you create this attitude and belief. I know this is what I'm capable of. This is what's been put in me. There's a difference in talent and gifts, or skills and gifts.
Woo! I hope we got people listening.
You can use your skills, and your skills get you a job. Your gifts get you work. They can take your job from you. Your work can't be taken from you. Can't nobody take your gift from you. Your skill, somebody can take that from you, because it gets you a job. It's finances. No, you need to figure out what your work is.
That's right.
You ain't ever heard a person say, man, I do not want to go to work on Monday. I can't stand Monday. You know why? Because they're going to a job.
Yep.
When you go to work, you love what you do. It's your passion. And that's what happens when you figure out what your gift is. You got to figure out what your gift is. Believe and know what you can do, and then know where you're going. Where is it you want to go? A lot of people don't even know where they want to go. They think they do, but they don't. You know why? Because they haven't figured out what their gift is and honed in on their gifts.
Wow. Folks, I hope you're taking notes. This is great stuff, G. A couple more questions. You're a dad of 5 kids. Talk about that role. How do you do it? You know
7.
Well,
I got 2 dogs.
Talk about that. Talk about fatherhood and what it means to you.
One thing I try and teach my kids, and I try and be the example of that, is our actions don't just affect us. So anything I do outside of the McCoy household, even inside the McCoy household, affects everybody in the McCoy household. God has put me in place to be the leader, because I'm the dad, I'm the husband. So everything the family goes as I go. So if the house is dirty, it's dirty because of me, because I allowed it to happen. If my kids' grades are not good, it's not, they don't look at the mom, they look at the dad. What is he doing? Why is he not in control? Everything that happens with my kids outside of the house comes back to me. So I try and be an example to them for everything that I teach them. So what I do, what you do, doesn't just affect you. So when I'm functioning, when I'm moving, you want to talk about motivation to come back from an injury? There's no way I could teach my 6-year-old, who's a far better athlete than I ever was, beyond gifted, far beyond what I ever was or ever will be. That dude is that's just another story. There's no way I can try and teach him about pushing through his extra running at the end of practice and being tough and building mental toughness. Or my 19-year-old who's a freshman at OU, and his mental toughness, he's going through the same thing I went through as a freshman, struggling through his freshman year, mentally all over the place during spring ball. There's no way I could tell him about this This is how it works. This is what you should do if I'm not doing it. If I haven't done it. So everything I try and teach them, I try and be it and show them. So I have an example of it. So if I teach them, hey, this is how you push through this. My injury, my family's seen a different part of me that they've never seen because they never seen Daddy. He's a superhero. This guy, I mean, even if he get hurt, he only out for a little bit. But a year, miss a whole season, and now it's an off season, and teams are not calling him. Like, where's his attitude?
Yep.
Where's his mindset? How is he reacting? Doesn't change who I am as a dad. Doesn't change how I attack what I want to do.
True.
I teach them never let another person, man or woman, determine who or what you are. So when you in school, I was a clown in school. I was a class clown. Got a lot of phone calls home, whatever. I did. So I have a lot of lenience with my kids. But what I always tell them when we get emails from a teacher or something, or a teacher says, well, your child did this, or your child did that. And they say, why? You let somebody else determine what happens with you.
That's right.
Because they sent me an email, now I have to deal with you. So anything you do, never let anybody else determine who or what you are. I love playing football, and I don't believe I'm done with playing football. But if I never play again, you think I'm going to let the NFL define who I am?
True.
If they don't want the NFL and me playing football is just the beginning of who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. So
there's that quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. Y'all know it very well, right? Never let anyone make you feel inferior without your consent. And I think in today's day, there's a lot of people that, especially younger kids, that put each other down. They're constantly just cutting on kids, and it's easy to feel inferior, especially in the social media world where everyone looks great and it's all about that. It's easy to not feel as good as other people because you're judging yourself based on what other people's outsides are versus what their insides are. And I think you're right on there. What if you never played football again? What would be next?
For me, my plan is to do something on TV. Whether I start with not commentating, but being an analyst, doing some type of podcast. Good. Yeah, Drew. I've been competing against Drew my whole career.
Man, you'd be a team.
I know. I've always wanted to be on Drew's team. But anyway, I know for sure I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to have some type of YouTube something because my face belongs on camera. My face belongs on camera. My face belongs on camera.
I was going to say, you got a face for radio.
My face belongs on camera. So I'm going to do something of that magnitude, but I want to be an actor. I've always found it fascinating how I can know that your name is Denzel Washington, but you can make me believe you this person. I always believe the best actors are people who play roles so good that it really affects me looking at you outside of the movie.
You're getting pretty lit up right now.
Yeah, I love it.
You're talking about acting, and you're getting.
But more importantly, here's what I want to do. I just want to change lives of some magnitude. My son was like, he said, Pops, you can try and deny it all you want. You can try and fight it and push it off all you want. But you need to just go and accept you're going to be a minister. I'm like, ooh. I said, I don't mind I don't want to be a pastor. I believe being a pastor is not for everybody. But being a minister, whether it's traveling, speaking to big groups, and I've always, remember how I said earlier, you got to find out what your gifts are? That's a gift. Yep. I've never been in front of any sort of crowd. I don't know if you've ever seen this. I've never been shy at any moment or been in front of any sort of crowd, 2, 3, 4 people or 2, 3, 4,000 people. It doesn't faze me. It's just I speak, I say what I have to say, and I move on. It doesn't faze me, and that's not easy to do. You see people can sit in the locker room and be the clown in the locker room, be a class clown, but as soon as they say, hey, I want you to go to the front and talk to the class and do your report, they freeze up. I've never had an issue with that. I've never
seen you in that. I know you a long time.
I've never had an issue with that. So I believe that's a gift I have, and I need to use it.
I can see that. I can totally see that. Big. And if you didn't listen to today's podcast, Gino Mingo talks about black belt discipleship, how everyone's a disciple. in discipling other people. And I see you do that here in the gym.
Absolutely.
You're discipling boys, girls, men, women, it doesn't matter who.
Well, because I believe that God didn't create followers. Inside every follower is a great leader. And people think that being a leader is, well, I have to be out front.
That's right.
Okay, if you're not going to be out front, be the best follower you can be. And you don't even understand that's a leader. Because you might not lead in the front, but you're leading all the followers. Now everybody's saying, man, look at what he's doing. I know he's doing what he's doing, but look at how he's doing it. Now I'm going to do that. Inside every follower is a great leader. You just got to find it.
Speaking of leaders, I've known you 11 years, and one of the athletes who you always talk about or wear his gear is Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely.
Talk about Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality, and your infatuation with Kobe and what he meant to you.
Yeah. One, it started with obviously his skill set and how great he is. I just think I believed he was an artist on the court, and I loved how he honed in on his technique and who he was as a competitor. And he's always had that. You hear these stories about Kobe when he was a teenager and, you know, he was 9 years old or 6 years old, putting up 90 points and stuff. He just always had a great skill set. But his mindset, how he attacked everything, he didn't fear anything or anybody. Shaq tells stories of how Kobe was fighting him in practice, like fist fighting Shaq, of all people.
Yep.
And Shaq said he knew then, he said, yeah, this guy is different because he's like fearless. And I just love the way he attacked the game and the way he attacked his profession. And then even with all the odds against him because of the off the court, issues he had, how he changed his life right before he passed away. You heard all these different stories about Kobe mentoring this person and talking to this person and mentoring that person and doing this for these kids and talking to this person. He won an award, and it's like, man, this is the same guy that everybody was ridiculing when he had the issues with his wife and saying that he was this person. He wasn't a great person. He's a horrible teammate. Now everybody's saying how great a mentor he is, and they've all changed their games because they've had off-season conversations with Kobe, and he's flying to this place to work out with that player and flying that place and before it's like Kobe's all about Kobe.
Yeah.
It goes to show with all the great skill set and everything he had, and even when people say you are a certain way, everybody can change. And that's what he ended up doing, and I believe that's why he touched so many lives, man.
Amazing. Speaking of great teammates, right now as we record this podcast, we're live, and your teammate Darren Sproles, your training partner, Sprolesy's in the house.
Sprolesy,
thumbs up on this. Yeah. And what's up, Sprolesy? Good to hear you. The mental aspect is the hardest because the recovery might be small. You may not see progress. Maddie Smith says, my man, Feisty Cheese. Nutrition, how important is it to you, and what do you do now to get back in football shape?
I don't think people understand how important nutrition is to recovery, one.
Huge.
And to staying healthy.
Yep.
Your body reacts to that. The things you put in your body, I don't think people understand the stuff we put in our body is what makes us sick. They think it's the pollen, that's why I got allergies. And it's no, it's the stuff you putting in your body. You just don't realize it. I'm trying to. It's the stuff you put in your body. You just eating whatever.
Amen.
And you wonder why? I just don't feel good.
Amen.
It's very important. That's why you hear about LeBron James. And they're like, man, this guy's an alien. How is he playing 18 years at 36 years old? It's because he $1 million every off. I mean, I'm not saying you have to spend $1 million, but he has the funds to spend $1 million for his body, his nutrition, and taking care of his body every offseason because he understands how important it is.
Another great question. Do you feel you've always had grit, or did you learn it as you moved through life?
Yeah, I had it at an early age.
You're born with it?
I believe I was born with it. I just had to find it. I just had to find it. And once I found it, I didn't let it go.
I like that.
I believe everybody's born with it, though.
And my last question deals with that big chain you have around your neck. It's Batman. What's your infatuation with Batman?
So I've always loved Batman. Always. My favorite, and here's what people think. They think, well, his number one absolute favorite superhero is Batman. I have even 3. Hulk, Wolverine, and Batman. I do. But Batman, I relate to him so much because of what he's not. So Batman, Superman, the misconception, see, y'all should have started me with this. The misconception of the Justice League is that Superman is the leader. He is not the leader. Batman is the leader. Superman is the big gun. That's all he is, okay? When you go into a game with all these different sports teams, you have some people that'll get you 50. You just know they're going to get you 50. This is what they're going to do. That doesn't make them the leader. So Batman, he's the reason the Justice League got put together. He recognized a threat. He went and found all these people. Okay? Batman is the only person in the Justice League that doesn't have a single superpower. Not one. He's a regular human, regular dude. Okay? But he's always in the forefront. You know why? He's always the most prepared. He outworks everybody, and you never catch him off guard. Okay? How does that relate to me? If you go look at you see all these super athletes. I always say the NFL produces mutants. You see these people, these demigods that come to, you've got these Jadeveon Clowneys that's running 4.4s and 4.5s, and these Aaron Donalds that's running these 4.6s and jumping out the gym and just doing all, like, it's ridiculous. It's the way these people can move.
Wait. Did you not, like, jump 40 inches at the combine?
No. You look at me, I ran a 5, I think I ran faster, but I ran a 5 flat. These are all my numbers. These are all my numbers at the combine. 5 flat.
310.
My vert was 30.5.
310 pounds.
I only did 23 reps on the bench. I think it was a receiver the other day that did 24.
Long arms.
Yeah. So my numbers were not crazy. But you know what I am? I'm always the most prepared. You're not going to outwork me, and you're not going to catch me off guard. And I use that to my advantage. And that's why I relate to Batman.
There you go. G. McCoy setting the record straight. And by the way, setting the record straight, Gerald was the 3rd overall pick in his draft class. That's
running a 5 flat and only benching 23 reps. Yes.
Final words of wisdom. If you could speak some life into someone out there today who might need some hope, some motivation, some inspiration, if that wasn't enough. Any final words of wisdom for any of our friends out there listening in via the podcast today?
I'm not going to give you no inspirational quote. I'm not going to go into all of these special things I could say. All I'm going to say is this. There's somebody out there that believes in you and loves you. Understand that, believe it, and just stick to that.
Wow.
And you'll be okay.
I love it. Gerald, if someone wants to follow you on social media because you do such an awesome job on Instagram and someday your YouTube, where can they find you?
Gerald Dini 93 on everything. GeraldIni 93. That is GeraldIni 93 on all platforms.
Everything. Twitter, Instagram, you name it.
My
he's
Xbox, my PlayStation, Gerald Dini 93. So if you on PlayStation or Xbox and you see Gerald Dini 93, yes, it is me.
There it is, my friends. Another great episode of The Impact Show. My man, Gerald McCoy. Folks, we got to get back to it. We got double sessions, so we're going to get after it today. He's got physical therapy. And Gerald, always great to have you on the show, brother.
It's great to be here, man. This is my family. This is my extended family. You know those long-distance cousins you have? This is all me.
There it is. Have an awesome day. Remember, everyone, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact.